It's funny about this. Apparently this is the way it works in the NBA. If you're a favorite and you just don't blow out a really talented underdog team, you're no good. You're just terrible. We tend to forget that the Heatles, LeBron was the best player in the world. Bosh was a top 10 player in the league, and D. Wade was still very, very good on his good nights. In their first title, they trailed 3 different playoff series. The Clippers are now tied after 4 games, and the world's ending. Are you guys, y'all just start watching the NBA? These first-round playoff series can get really tough all the time for great teams. Let's make some assumptions here. We assumed coming into the playoffs that when the Clippers are fully healthy, they're real good. They were 12-1 this year when fully stacked. Well, Patrick Beverley hasn't played the last 3 games. Kawhi is still great. That assumption was great. They were good in close games. That's been the story all year. And when they're healthy, they're good. They're not right now perfectly healthy. Patrick Beverley gives them 26 minutes a night. He's not healthy. But most of the assumptions are true. The assumptions for the Dallas Mavericks are great coach, terrific young player, not very good in close games, all offense, no defense, and would be interesting to watch with no playoff experience. Those are all true except one exception. Let's explain the whole series. Luka hit a 30-footer at the buzzer. If he doesn't, it's 3-1 Clippers. And they're going to close the series out without Patrick Beverley playing and Paul George playing as bad as I've ever seen him. And they'd still lead 3-1. That's the series, a shot. Everything we assumed is true. I mean, the reality is first-round playoff series are tough. Remember the 2008 Celtics? That's one of the last great teams. They had a great year. They won 67 games. They won a title. They were pushed to 7 games by the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. The Hawks were an 8 seed. They had Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, potentially 4 Hall of Famers, Doc Rivers, one of the best singular year teams we've had in the last 20 years. Pushed to 7 by the Hawks. By the way, they had another series that year in the playoffs, went to 7 games. The Heatles, last year the Raptors, trailed in 3 different series. 3! And they won. This stuff's not easy. I mean, LeBron against the East in the first round has historically been a sweep. But the East has been garbage at the bottom. It's been Washington's and Detroit's and Orlando's. You're not sweeping people generally in the first round of the West. The West is better. And there's also 2 factors that we have to acknowledge here. There's no home court advantage. It's a bubble. So these games, you'd have started out first 2 games in L.A. It's not the way it works. So it's an advantage for the underdog team where there's no home court advantage, and Luka hit a 30-footer. Clippers are the better team. Clippers are going to win the series. But there's no, what are the assumptions? What assumption here has not, we knew the Clippers were very good when they're fully healthy. They're not. Patrick Beverley hasn't played in 3 games. We know Kawhi is still the best get a basket, get a stop guy in the NBA. I still think he is. LeBron may be more valuable. I think Kawhi get a bucket or get a stop's better. Hall of Fame head coach, great bench. Lou Williams had 36 last night. What of that is a surprise? What for Dallas is a surprise? We knew they could score. We knew they were great offensively. We knew Rick Carlisle was smart. We knew they had a bunch of shooters. We knew they didn't play any defense. They still don't. And we knew Luka was good, really good. But, I mean, there's no big shocks here. Paul George is really playing poorly. Paul George will be fine. Paul George, here's my promise. He'll play really well one of the next 2 games. He'll look like an all-star. But this idea that everybody just runs through the playoffs. Raptors trailed in 3 of their series last year. The Celtics went 8 games with the 8th-seeded Atlanta Hawks. The Heatles struggled often. I mean, if you go to the Miami Heat games, first year they lost the title. Second year they were wonderful. Third year they were lucky to win it. Ray Allen shot. And fourth year they got whacked. This is hard for the great teams. We look at the war. Maybe it's because we're coming off the Warriors dynasty where we just think that this is the way it is. They got one team has all the good players. And do you remember the Warriors lost last year in the final? And the year before, Houston led them. And then Chris Paul got hurt. Remember that? The first year for Golden State, they flew through it. Everything after that was a struggle. Last year, didn't the Warriors with KD, Steph, and Clay last year struggle in the first round against the Clippers? They go like 6 games. This stuff's hard. This is the West. Luka's great. Carlisle's smart. Owner Cuban. This is a real good team. So, we're freaking out. I just thought, sometimes stuff happens. Luka hits a 30-footer. Here's Doc Rivers. They'll figure it out. They'll win the series. They'll be okay. The assumptions are right. But these first-round Western series and sometimes first couple of rounds Eastern series have never been easy for the favorites. It's a lot of work. It was work for the Warriors after their first year with KD, Steph, and Clay. They couldn't stay healthy. They infighting. It's tough. It's always been tough. So Brett Brown's going to get fired, Philadelphia 76ers coach. Sixers got swept by the Celtics. It was ugly. I'm kind of over the whole Sixer thing. I never bought into it. It's hard when you have two stars. Their games don't work and their personalities don't work, but Brett Brown will pay the price and be fired. Did Brett Brown, let me ask you, did he trade away every shooter on the roster? Did Brett Brown demand they move up to get Markelle Fultz? Did Brett Brown say, you know what I think we should do? Pay Tobias Harris, a B player, $180 million. Did Brett Brown in a shooters league said, you know what we need? More size, Al Horford. What do you do with Ben Simmons? He can't shoot. Doesn't appear to be interested. Maybe you could bench him. Good luck in the NBA doing that. Stars run this league, and they always have. It's not a coach's league. That's college basketball. That's the NFL. Baseball's a GM sport. Hockey's a goalie sport. NBA's a star-driven league. Mike D'Antoni is told when James Harden will be at practice. Last year, you all told me Billy Donovan was a bum. Maybe it was Westbrook. Kyrie Irving said the world is flat. Last year, the Celtics struggled. The immediate reaction from the NBA media, Brad Stevens can't coach stars. You ever going to blame Kyrie for anything? Westbrook for anything? The players for anything? This is a hard league to coach. Brad Stevens is considered the smartest coach in the league. The minute he had problems with Kyrie Irving, he's a bum, get him out, can't coach stars, he's a college guy. What? Billy Donovan last year, you were all crushing him. This year, you can make a strong argument he's the coach of the year. The Lakers are a 5-star franchise. Right? I mean, we would acknowledge kind of the Yankees of their sport. They've had 4 coaches in 6 years. The Knicks have had 6 coaches in 6 years. The Cavs have had 4 coaches in 2 years. Blame the coach. I don't care. People say Brett Brown's too easy on guys. Maybe he is. I'm not saying situationally he did something the other night drove me crazy. I don't know if he's situationally as good as Brad Stevens. Maybe he is a little easy on the players. Let me tell you something, folks. If you're not, you're out of work. I mean, Greg Popovich gets Tim Duncan and wins titles. There are no Belichicks in the NBA. I mean, let's be honest. It worked with Popovich because he had Duncan. The minute Duncan gets out of his prime, Spurs don't win, and Kawhi says, see ya. This is a hard league. And I'm not saying Brett Brown's a world-class coach. I don't know. I don't sit and watch game tape. I know Nick Nurse in Toronto. My sources love him, and they love Brad Stevens. But, I mean, he didn't trade away the shooters. He didn't sign Al Horford and Tobias Harris the bad contracts. He didn't move up for Markelle Fultz. I don't know what you do with Ben Simmons. He can't shoot. But this whole thing, it's the coach. The NBA, the solution is always get rid of the dumb coach. And sometimes you're right. But sometimes maybe it's beyond just Brett Brown. It's front office stuff too, or ownership stuff too. Or, oh my God, I'm going to say it, sometimes stars are hard. This is a league where stars have power, they know it, and they often use it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.